Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and checking out today's video. Guys, today I want to talk about topwater lures a little bit, and there's one thing in particular is probably the most important aspect of fishing a topwater lure I want to share with you guys. And I actually learned this from an 87-year-old bass angler that I used to fish with, an old World War II Navy veteran. And he taught me a lesson about topwater fishing years ago that just has really helped me catch a lot more fish. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick things here. I'd just like to invite everybody to please check out my tackle warehouse link that I put in the description of this video. If you guys are needing to order some tackle or any type of fishing equipment or rain suits or anything, if you use and bookmark that link in my description, that's a great way to support the fishing teacher here. I really appreciate that. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button to the channel. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, this I used to fish. This was back in the mid-1980s. I knew an old bass angler. He was 87 years old, and we used to float. There's a creek down by Joplin, Missouri, named Shoal Creek, and we used to float Shoal Creek together in a flat bottom boat, and like a 14-foot flat bottom. And the only bait that he fished, his name was Joe, and the only bait that Joe fished was a black wood chopper. Now, a wood chopper, if you don't know what it is, it's a prop lure. It's an old wooden prop lure. It's been around forever. But one of the things that I learned from Joe that he taught me is how important cadence is on a topwater lure in terms of really understanding the mood and the personality of the fish and matching the cadence to that topwater in order to get the strike out of it. Now, in Joe's situation, you know, in the creek that we were fishing, one of the things he was teaching me is that when you throw your topwater out there, you have got to work the bait, you know, maybe a foot or so, and then you've got to let it set still until the ripples completely dissipate around it. Because what his theory was that when you jerk a topwater lure like a popper or a prop bait or something like that, it gets the attention of the bass, but a lot of times it'll get the attention of the bass, but they won't bite it. They'll just come up and look at it. And if you let it sit there until the ripples dissipate, and sometimes, you know, once the ripples dissipate, the bait will start floating a little bit slow like that, almost like it's dead or wounded. And then he thinks the bass will sit there and look at it, and then you just give it one little tiny twitch and they come up and hammer it. And I don't know how many good fish he caught doing that. I mean, when we would float, he'd throw that thing up underneath like overhanging trees and shady spots, and that's how he'd work it. And he wound up catching a bunch of good fish right in front of me, you know, with that particular technique, so I got no reason to doubt him. So you can apply this same type of logic to any topwater lure out there. It doesn't matter if it's a buzzbait or a whopper plopper or a walking topwater or a wake bait or anything out there. You have got to figure out the cadence and retrieve that fish wants. Now, one of the things that I found out about it as far as cadence and retrieve on a topwater, a lot of it has to do with the water clarity more than anything else, even more so than the water temperature. In general, what I have found in my own fishing is that the more off-colored the water is, the more stained it is, the slower that you got to work your topwater. Gives them a chance to find it. If you work a topwater lure fast in dirtier water, I just have never been able to catch many fish on it. So I sort of have like a system that if the water visibility is like less than 1.5 feet where I'm fishing, I work my topwater lures pretty slow. You know, I stop them a lot, work them slow, don't move them very fast. And as that water clarity increases, say it goes up to 2 to 3 foot visibility, that's when I'll speed it up a little bit. Maybe not a whole lot, but I'll speed it up a little bit. And as the water gets cleaner, like if I have over 3 or 4 foot of visibility, that is when I'm working my topwater lures faster. So I'm working my chuggers faster, I'm working my Zara spooks and my walking baits faster, just not having them get a good look at it. Now, other factors that can determine that are things like your water temperature to some extent, the light intensity to some extent. Another thing I'll share you guys with about the light intensity is the brighter the day out, normally the faster you want to work your topwater lure. Cloudy, rainy days, slow it down a little bit. It all has to do with them keying in on it, getting a good sight on it. That's been a pretty good indicator for me. But ultimately, you can have some starting points like that, but you just have to let the fish tell you what they want. It's a matter of experimentation. I've seen some situations where it didn't make any sense at all. And most of the time also, you'll find that the bigger fish that you catch on a topwater lure, I'm not sure, I don't care what type of topwater lure it is normally on the slower retrieve. Some of the biggest buzzbait fish I've ever caught, and the biggest buzzbait strike I ever had in my life, which was one over 10 pounds, have come on like fishing a buzzbait so slow that I could barely even keep the blades above the water, just barely getting that buzzbait to break the surface. Same with the popper, same with the walking topwater, anything like that. Normally, most of the time, unless you're dealing with smallmouth bass, the faster you work a topwater, the less odds you're going to have to catch a big fish. Now, that's, like I said, on a smallmouth bass, that's completely different. I've caught big ones working them pretty fast too, but for largemouth and spotted bass, most of the time you want to work a little bit slower. But anyway, guys, I'll always remember floating that creek with old Joe, man. He just had, I mean, that's the only bait he owned. He owned a box full of black wood choppers, and he threw it on a spin cast rod, like a 6-foot spin cast rod, 20-pound test, clear blue, string line, and, learned a lot about bass fishing topwater from him. So anyway, I hope it helps you guys out. We'll check in later.